Welcome to my fellow veterans. I'm Jerrod Sessler. I served alongside of you on board the aircraft carrier USS Constellation. I was very proud to do that. I was scheduled to join you for the military officers dinner on the 21st, but I unfortunately will not be able to attend that dinner. So I wanted to share a brief bit about what I may have discussed with you that night. I was asked to talk about a book that I recently wrote. It's called How We Broke America. And I want to first of all tell you that I don't get any proceeds from this book. I've donated it, so I don't get any benefit out of that. This is to help America. So let me tell you a little bit about that book. But before, I want to talk to you just a little bit about some of the projects that I've been working on over the last year, because I think you'll find them interesting. For starters, I made a trip to the Panama where I recorded a documentary with my team on why America should own and control the Panama Canal. This is very important, both from a strategic and safety and security standpoint for the American people, but also just purely from an American asset. We built the Panama Canal. A lot of people don't know that we originally took it over from the French and built it, but we also built the new Panama Canal, which was designed and built to support the post-Panamax or Panamax or post-Panamax style cargo ships, which primarily come from China. So that new Panama Canal was actually opened in 2016. Most people don't know that, but it was primarily funded with American tax dollars. So of course we should own the Panama Canal. You can watch that documentary on YouTube. Just type in Jerrod Sessler Panama and I'm sure it'll come up. There's a shorter version and then there's a longer version. I also did a Doge project redesigning FEMA, which FEMA is an absolute grift and a disaster. You can also watch that project and you can see the attached 70-some page report where I redesigned FEMA in an effort to make it more like what I think the American people actually want from an emergency response. Another very important project. We're in the midst of editing videos from a trip that we took to California to review the Klamath River Dam removal project. Most people don't know this, but they removed 4 dams down off of the Klamath River, which is a complete disaster. It was absolutely devastating to see how that affected people's lives and what it did to the region. Absolute catastrophe and something that we could never allow to happen again. And I hope that documentary, once it comes out here in a few weeks, will demonstrate that, but certainly watch for that. And news of that as it comes out. You follow my YouTube channel or follow me on social media, then you'll be able to see that video when it comes out. We also did another trip recently to Canada where we were talking to people on the street about becoming the 51st state, which was kind of in jest a little bit fun, but it was still very interesting to find out there are some horrific things going on in Canada right now. That you can watch the video and it'll dive more into it. But we did have some fun with it. We created some MAGA hats that had the Canadian maple leaf above MAGA. Now remember, Canada is part of North America, so the term Make America Great Again really does apply to Canada as well. So we had fun with that trip. The video's not out yet. I'm not sure exactly what the date is of when the editing will be done, but I think it's probably in the next couple of weeks. I also made a trip to the Middle East 3 weeks or just ahead of President Trump's trip to the Middle East, which was absolutely amazing. Did a lot of work on cryptocurrency especially and some different meetings with people in the Middle East. And that really expanded my horizon in a number of different ways and was very helpful. Similarly, I also recently just did a trip to Singapore again for the World Crypto Conference. Eric Trump and Donald Trump Jr. and Zach Witkoff, which is Steve Witkoff's son, they've started a thing called World Liberty Financial, which is quite interesting. And there's a massive shift, a lot of you may know about this, going from traditional finance to decentralized or more of the modern day finance, which is all good. And frankly, America's kind of behind, to be honest with you. There was only a handful of us from America that were at this World Crypto Conference. There's over 30,000 people there. So it's important for us to stay abreast on that, to see what's going on. Back in March, I was honored to be in Washington, D.C. and to be there for President Trump to sign the executive order on election integrity, which is incredibly important for us here in Washington State. I got to brief members of Congress the day before that executive order was signed. It was a tremendous honor for me, and really just an incredible move forward for those of us here in Washington State and other states that have clear election integrity issues. I've got several bills, projects that I've been working on for Congress, and I'll just give you a brief summary. One of those is about protecting minors, protecting kids from gender mutilation, which is very important. One of them is pro-life. It's documenting that life begins at conception, which is very important. One of them is about ethical AI and how we need to protect ourselves. We need to create sort of an international consortium to make sure that AI stays within its bounds. I think it's a great tool, but we also need to make sure that humanity is always held at a preeminent level with everyone who's writing all this code that's driving these AI robots and sort of these AI engines to make sure that human life is protected. And then another project called the Congressional Accountability Act, which is fairly detailed, but essentially what it does is it gives the American people a seat at the table with the lobbyist to make sure that our congressional members are representing us and that we have a voice that's being heard in DC. And then I've overseen and actually I met with the RNC and other leaders within the Republican Party, and we've developed some software which will be incredibly helpful and in a number of different ways that will help us make sure that we stay ahead of the lunacy. So those are some of the projects that I've been working on over the last year, and I just want to share a little bit more about the book, How We Broke America, just so you can kind of have an idea of what I'm thinking with that. So first of all, the book is, it's 46 chapters, and it is an overview of looking at what has happened over the last 250 years in our country. And as you can see by the cover, I'm showing that there's essentially a crack or a brokenness in our country, and then there's money streaming out the bottom as kind of a visual image of what's going on in our country and how this stuff has happened. The 46 chapters are laid out very similar to each other. They list the problem, why it matters, what we can do to improve or to make changes, and then sort of a checklist of action as well as references for every single chapter. And I'll just give you one example. For example, the 16th Amendment, which was passed in 1913, in February of 1913, and then that was followed up with the Federal Reserve Act, which was in December of 1913. Both of those were absolute atrocities for our country. Now, over 100 years later, we find ourselves almost $40 trillion in debt, primarily because our Congress spends money, allocates funds, and when it goes beyond what they have the ability to cover, they simply just borrow more money in the name of America and the American citizens and take us into debt when there's really no reason why we couldn't operate a balanced budget, have low taxes, eliminate property tax, which is very, very important, especially for those of us who are aging and think it's ridiculous that we spent our whole life, building wealth so that we could own a piece of the rock and then we have to pay rent on it for the rest of our life. It's totally ridiculous. So my hope is that this book, although it is not exhaustive, that it will start a discussion about how we remedy some of the things that we've done wrong over the last 250 years, while recognizing that our structure is amazing and that we ought to give credit where credit is due, that we've always been making positive progress in this country. And so I want to highlight that, and I want to encourage you to get and to recommend How We Broke America by Jerrod Sessler. And also remember that the proceeds don't go to me. I'm donating this to the American people, and this is a work that I feel like is legacy building that will help be a tool for people moving forward as to what some of the problems are and how we can fix them. Okay, I want to continue with just a little bit more here in terms of unity. It's more important than ever that we work hard to unify, not because we agree on everything. When did we ever, really? But because we all put it on the line for this country. We respect each other for that, and those of us who made it home. We live the great American life, scars and all, the memories, the pain, the mental battles from our time in service. We made it. Let's rejoice in that. Too many brothers and sisters didn't make it. Let me share a quick story from my days aboard the USS Constellation. In 1988, 27 years after she set sail, she caught on fire off the coast of San Diego. A raging blaze in the main engine room, fueled by thousands of gallons of jet fuel. And jumping off that just for a second, as an example, there were cliques back then, just as there are today, that caused division. The black guys owned the barber shop with their head-of-the-line privileges for each other. The galley crew had all the food. Supply folks hooked up their buddies with gear. Officers had their own world completely. Yeah, it's annoying, but it's part of life. But it never mattered when the chips were down. As we fought that inferno, hoses blazing, smoke choking us, no one paused to gripe about cliques or politics. The airspace was shut down. They even cleared the sea, expecting that ship to split in half and sink. We were in a tough spot, but we poured everything into it for our survival and to the survival of the ship. With few injuries, 0 deaths, we lived to tell about it together. I believe God has a story for each of us, but none tops the one about Jesus, the ultimate servicer unified through sacrifice, spoke truth to tyrants, and called us to do the same. He wants us working side by side, not divided by our differences. See, division shows where we're not fully committed to the work ahead. Fighting that fire, we didn't have time for debates. We were too busy doing what mattered. And when Charlie Kirk was brutally murdered a few weeks back, it hit me. This is our time in service. We signed up for the military knowing it was temporary, but while we were in, it was our home, duty first. God's given us a temporary home here too, and our service continues. Charlie's time in service ended. Ours hasn't. If we're letting cliques or clashes in beliefs divide us, then maybe we're not busy enough with what He's called us to do. Stay at it, retired or not. Earn the rest, that meal, that next dawn, by pouring into projects that need your hard work, wisdom, and unique talents. Defend the nation we fought for. Call out what's wrong, but do it from a place of action, not endless critiquing. That's how we honor our brothers and sisters who gave it all, glorify God, and keep America strong. As veterans, we're bound by purpose, and we always will be. No room for needless division. We fought together. Let's serve out these days that remain together. God bless you all. Thank you for your service. I hope you have a great evening and dinner together on the 21st. I look forward to seeing you again soon. God bless you, and God bless America.